Dad, this year we're celebrating Thanksgiving just as a family. You're not invited. That's how the betrayal began, which I definitely didn't deserve. And when his wife added that I hadn't earned a place at their table yet, I replied with just one thing. I'll cancel all automatic payments. An hour later, 95 missed calls, and then something happened that turned everything upside down. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The message arrived at 3:47 on a Wednesday afternoon, 2 days before Thanksgiving. I was reviewing a client portfolio when my phone buzzed against the mahogany desk. I glanced down, expecting a confirmation about Thursday's dinner plans. Maybe Leo asking what time I'd arrive, or what I wanted to bring. Instead, I read, Dad, this year we're celebrating Thanksgiving with immediate family only. You're not invited. I stared at the screen, read it again. The words didn't rearrange themselves into something that made sense. My reading glasses slipped down my nose as I leaned closer, as if proximity would somehow alter the meaning. Immediate family only. I was his father. How much more immediate could I get? Before I could process it, another message dropped into the family chat. Bernice's name appeared with that little typing indicator, then her words materialized like a slap. Maybe someday you'll earn the right to sit at a table with us, DeWitt. Not yet. My chest tightened. I set the phone down carefully, the way you'd set down something fragile that might shatter if handled roughly. Except, I wasn't the fragile one here. I was the one who'd been holding everything together for 8 years, since my wife died and left me drowning in guilt, trying to prove to my son that I could still be the father he deserved, even though his mother was gone. I picked up the phone again, scrolled up through the chat history, found the thread from 3 months ago where Leo had asked if I could cover the mortgage for just a few months while he transitioned to a new position. Found Bernice's message from last spring about the private school tuition, how it was an investment in their children's future, and wasn't I invested in my grandchildren's future? Found my own responses, each one a variation of course, and already sent, and anything you need. My fingers moved almost independently, opening my banking app. I navigated to the recurring payments section and just looked at the list. Really looked at it, maybe for the first time since I'd set everything up on autopilot. Mortgage payment, car lease for Leo, car lease for Bernice, private school tuition for both kids, their homeowner's insurance, their utilities, their premium cable package, Bernice's credit card autopay, because she'd convinced me that her business expenses were really investments in Leo's future networking opportunities. I muttered the total to myself, letting each word hang in the empty office. $8,550, every single month. Outside my office, footsteps approached. Martin from the adjacent suite paused in my doorway, already wearing his coat. His voice was cheerful, oblivious. DeWitt, you heading out soon? Happy Thanksgiving. I looked up, assembled my professional mask. You too, Martin. Drive safe. He waved and disappeared down the corridor. I heard the elevator chime, then silence settled back over the floor. Most of the building had already emptied out for the long weekend. I was alone with my phone, my computer screen, and a clarity I hadn't experienced in years. I read Bernice's message one more time. Maybe someday you'll earn the right, as if I hadn't earned anything, as if $8,000 a month was just expected, just assumed, just the price I paid for the privilege of occasionally seeing my grandchildren at whatever events Bernice deemed appropriate for my attendance. The screen blurred slightly. I removed my glasses, set them beside the keyboard. Without them, the numbers on my banking app became soft and indistinct, but I didn't need perfect vision to understand what I was looking at. I'd been staring at this reality for years without actually seeing it. I thought about calling Leo directly, demanding an explanation, asking what I'd done to deserve this dismissal. But I already knew the answer. Nothing. I'd done nothing except make myself indispensable and invisible at the same time. I was a checking account with a heartbeat, valuable only for what I could provide, and easily discarded the moment I expected something as unreasonable as a seat at the Thanksgiving table. My thumb hovered over the banking app. The office was very quiet. Through the window, I could see the sun starting its descent toward the McDowell Mountains, painting the Scottsdale sky in shades of copper and amber. Beautiful, indifferent. The city would keep moving whether I spent tomorrow alone or surrounded by family who tolerated me for my wallet. I pulled up the family chat one more time, read both messages again, then slowly scrolled through the payment list on my banking app. Each entry represented a choice I'd made: compensation for not being there enough when their mother was sick, for working too many hours when Leo was young, for every perceived failure that I'd tried to remedy with money, because money was something I understood, something I could control. I stared at that list until the numbers burned into my vision. My voice came out quieter than I expected, absorbed immediately by the leather chair and empty walls. You want immediate family only? Let's see how immediate your bills feel. My thumbs moved across the phone screen with a steadiness that surprised me. The message I typed into the family chat was brief, stripped of anything that might suggest negotiation was on the table. Thanks for letting me know. Canceling all automatic payments today. Have a nice holiday. I read it twice. Changed nothing, hit send. The little check marks appeared, confirming delivery. I watched them turn blue, read receipts. Both Leo and Bernice had seen it. I didn't wait for a response. The exit group option appeared when I held down on the chat name, and I tapped it without hesitation. A small confirmation dialog asked if I was sure. I selected yes. The chat disappeared from my screen. I opened my laptop alongside the phone, positioning both devices so I could work across platforms. My banking app on mobile, institution websites on the larger screen. I'd set up these payments methodically over the years. It seemed appropriate to dismantle them the same way. First, the mortgage. $3,200, scheduled to withdraw on the first of every month. I navigated to my primary bank's website, logged in, found the recurring payments section. The entry sat there with its neat little active status in green. My cursor hovered over cancel scheduled payment for perhaps 3 seconds. Then I clicked. A confirmation dialog appeared. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? The recipient will not be notified automatically. I clicked confirm. The status changed from green to gray. Canceled. I muttered to the empty office. $3,200. Not anymore. Next came the car leases. Leo's first, a luxury sedan he'd insisted was necessary for client meetings, even though his sales position had him working mostly from home. $489 monthly. Canceled. Then Bernice's SUV, the one she justified by claiming she needed safe, reliable transportation for the grandchildren. $512. Canceled. As I clicked through each one, I spoke quietly, echoing Bernice's words back to the empty room. Maybe someday you'll earn the right to drive these cars. Not yet. The private school tuition was next, $2,200 split between 2 kids, withdrawn quarterly, but averaged into my mental monthly calculation. That one required logging into a separate education and payment portal. More clicks, more confirmation dialogues asking if I was certain. I was certain. Homeowners insurance, utilities, the premium cable package that cost more than my own. Each cancellation took between 2 and 4 minutes. Login credentials, security questions, navigation through menus designed to make canceling difficult. I worked through them with the patience of someone who'd spent 40 years in financial consulting, someone who understood that thorough work took time. Somewhere during the utility cancellation, my phone began vibrating. Leo's name flashed across the screen, his photo, taken 3 Thanksgivings ago when he was still smiling at me, appearing with the incoming call notification. I glanced at it, reached over without looking directly at the screen, flipped the phone face down. The vibration continued for 30 seconds, then stopped. The silence lasted maybe 2 minutes before it started again. Same name, same photo. I kept my eyes on the laptop screen, clicking through to cancel the cable package autopay. By the time I finished with Bernice's credit card, the last item on my list, the one that had been quietly accumulating her business expenses at an average of $900 monthly, my phone had gone through several cycles of vibrating, stopping, and starting again. I closed the laptop with a quiet click that seemed loud in the office silence. The time on my computer screen read 7:52 p.m. I'd been working for just over an hour. Outside the window, downtown Scottsdale had transformed into its evening personality. Restaurant patios filling up, strings of lights illuminating the sidewalks, people starting their holiday celebrations early. I gathered my things slowly. Laptop into my messenger bag. Phone picked up and slipped into my pocket, still face down, still vibrating intermittently. Coat from the hook behind the door. I locked my office and walked to the elevator, rode it down to the parking garage, got into my car. The whole time, my phone kept buzzing against my thigh like an angry insect trapped in fabric. The drive to my apartment took 20 minutes through moderate traffic. I lived in a newer complex near Old Town, a 2-bedroom unit that had felt too large when I first moved in after selling the family house, but now felt exactly right for one person who didn't need to accommodate anyone else's expectations. Inside, I set my bag on the entry table and finally pulled out my phone. The lock screen was a mess of notifications, 95 missed calls. The message app badge showed 43 unread texts. I scrolled through the call log. Leo, 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 Bernice, Leo, Bernice, Bernice. Unknown number. Probably Celeste, alerted to the crisis and trying to mediate. Leo, Leo, Leo. I powered off the ringer completely, disabled the vibration, set the phone face up on my desk where I could watch the screen light up silently with each new attempt. In the kitchen, I pulled down a bottle of bourbon from the cabinet, a bottle I'd been saving for a special occasion that had never materialized. Crystal glass from the set I never used because there was no one to use it with. 2 fingers of amber liquid catching the light from above the sink. I carried the glass to my living room window, left the apartment lights off. The city spread out before me in layers of illumination. Streetlights, building windows, the red and white streams of traffic on Scottsdale Road. My phone screen glowed on the desk behind me, another silent call coming through. I didn't turn around. The bourbon was smooth, expensive. I took a slow sip and let it warm its way down. My voice came out quiet in the darkness. 8 years. 8 years of trying to make up for her being gone. They never appreciated a single day. The phone screen went dark, stayed dark for maybe 90 seconds, then lit up again. Another call, another attempt to reach the man who'd just cut off their funding. I imagine Leo's panic as he checked his bank notifications, saw the canceled payments, understood what it meant. I imagine Bernice's fury, her calculations about bills coming due, her realization that her condescension had cost her more than she'd anticipated. I took another sip, watched the city. Behind me, my phone continued its silent, futile flashing. Tomorrow was Thanksgiving. I'd spend it however I wanted. Maybe I'd cook something simple. Or maybe I'd go out, find a restaurant serving dinner, sit at a table with strangers who owed me nothing and expected nothing in return. The bourbon glass was half empty now, or half full, depending on perspective. I suppose that was the difference. I was finally looking at things from a different angle, not through the lens of guilt or obligation or desperate attempts to compensate for the past. Just seeing what was actually there. The phone lit up again behind me. I didn't turn around. The city lights were much more interesting. I woke Thursday morning to silence. No buzzing phone, no emergency knocks, no crisis demanding my immediate attention. Just the pale November sunlight filtering through my bedroom